Okay, welcome back to my channel, Made Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to be doing my March wrap-up. It's my first ever wrap-up, so I'm really happy to be able to put this out there. This month I read 5 books, so not the best reading month numbers-wise, but when it comes to star ratings, it's been a great month, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this month I had 4 physical books and 1 audiobook. I usually read more audiobooks in the month, so I'm surprised by that, but I guess it was just a physical reading month. The first book that I read is The Republic of Thieves. This is the 3rd book in the Lies of Locke Lamora series. The 4th book is supposed to be coming out this year. Come on, Scott Lynch. I really want to continue on. But as of now, there's only 3 books out. This is the 3rd one. You can see it's quite tabbed. At this point, we're not shocked. I like to tab books. And while this is still one of my favorite series of all time, I would say this is my least favorite of the 3 that are out now. So we have The Lies of Locke Lamora, Red Seas Under Red Skies, and The Republic of Thieves. So The Lies of Locke Lamora is about a thief named Locke Lamora who is part of a group of thieves. And they're kind of high-class thieves, and they target the higher-class people, the richer people, with more like long con games. And in the first book, we are introduced to this lovable group of thieves in the middle of a long con that they're doing. And then at the end of that book, there's a magic there's magic introduced. The magic introduced is a soft magic system, which means that it doesn't have defined rules. Another example of a soft magic system might be Harry Potter. It's quite easy to manipulate, whereas a hard magic system is something that Brandon Sanderson does a lot, where there's specific rules that the users of the magic have to follow. So there's a soft magic system introduced, and that comes back into play finally in this book. And I think that while it was done well, I think more could have been done with it. The ending of this was really good and made me want to read more, but this is more of a political intrigue book, which I love political intrigue, but the middle of it dragged a little bit because there wasn't so much action going on. Plus, there wasn't as much Jean and Locke friendship in here, and we all know that those two are one of the best parts of this series. So there was a little less Jean in here. We got a lot more of Sabitha, who is a character that you're introduced to, that you know about earlier in the series, and you're finally introduced to her here. And a lot of people don't like her, and I completely understand why, because I hated her at parts during this book. But I think I've come to the conclusion that overall, she is the character she needs to be for Locke. It's no secret, it's not a spoiler, that she is his love interest, and she's not a likable character, but I don't think Locke should be with someone likable. So yeah, I think overall this was an enjoyable book. It had the banter that I love and the flashback style of writing that I really enjoy from Scott Lynch, but it's not as good as the other 2 books. So this one is at a 4 stars for this month. The next book I read is The Silent Patient, and I read this on audiobook. The Silent Patient is a thriller about a mental patient who kills her husband, and then from that day forward she never speaks a word. And the story starts when there is a psychologist who becomes obsessed with her to the point that he gets hired at the mental hospital she's staying at in order to be able to treat her. So the story starts there, him starting to work there, and the twist at the end of this made me clutch my pearls. I loved it. It got me. Again, I've mentioned many times, but I'm new to the thriller genre. I know some people like Books and Lala who really into thrillers were like meh about it, but I really enjoyed this book. So I also gave this one 4 stars, and I would recommend it. The next 3 books are the Remnant Chronicles. So I talked about these in my Get to Know the Fantasy Reader tag, but just as a refresher, the Remnant Chronicles are about a princess who is supposed to be married off to the prince from another nation, like as a political alliance marriage. But she's having none of that nonsense, and she runs away. And then in the first book, there are 2 guys who follow after her. One guy is the prince that she left at the altar. The second one is an assassin sent to kill her from another nation. And the twist is that you don't know who's who throughout the first book, so you're left guessing who's there to kill her and which one is the prince who's trying to figure out why she left. And the first book is a bit more romance centered and getting to know the characters centered, but then the second book and the third book really expand from there and make a bigger world. And let me tell you, I went into these thinking they would be an easy breezy YA fantasy that's kind of older, and I thought maybe there'd be a couple tropes I didn't like, but it would be a nice break from some heavier fantasy. No, these books were phenomenal. 5 stars. I gave all of them 5 stars. And I am just as shocked as you. You know, here I am giving the Republic of Thieves 4 stars. It's still one of my favorite series of all time, but 4 stars. And then an older YA series gets 3 5 stars for each installment. I'm telling you, man, I'm as shocked as you, but I am pleasantly surprised. I read those books back to back to back. Couldn't stop. Really readable. And something that I mentioned in the other video as well is the female friendships in this story are goals. Absolute goals. Like, each character has a strength, but it's a different type of strength. We're not all, you know, killing people with swords and being assassins, which is great, and some of them were, but some of the other women in the story had other types of strengths, and those were just as important throughout the story. And at the same time, the male characters were not disparaged. They were still treated, you know, as important, and they were given really important roles. So it was a really good example, I think, of how to balance those things, especially in YA. So the Remnant Chronicles have become one of my favorite series. I read them on ebook, again thinking they would be light and easy, but since I'm a tabber, like I love to tab my favorite books, I'm gonna have to buy them in physical form, reread them, and tab them up, because there were so many quotes in there that I loved, and Leah is just, oh, I love the main character so much. So much. There are very few characters that I love as much as I love her, and I just have so much respect for her. So Mary E. Pearson, fantastic job, what a wonderful story. And next I really want to read The Republic of Thieves. No, that's Scott Lynch. Dance of Thieves, which is like a spin-off story in the same world. I haven't heard as good of reviews though for it, but I'm so hyped from the Remnant Chronicles I'm going to go straight into it anyway. So the last book I want to talk about is not part of the 5 that I've read because I haven't finished it yet, but I think this is going to be on my currently reading list for a long time, and that is Harry Potter, but the Japanese version. So I've mentioned that I want to be able to level up from reading Japanese manga to reading Japanese novels, and I've decided to start with a story that I know so well, like the back of my hand, because then I can fill in gaps when I don't understand certain kanji. So let's see, where am I in this? I am page 41, using receipt as a bookmark. Who can relate to that? So I'm on page 41 right now. It's slow going, so this is probably going to be on my currently reading list for, I would assume, most of the year. I have the second part on my shelf. It's 2 parts, but I just kind of want to keep you guys updated, let you know how this is going. When I finish it, of course, I'll be telling you because I'll be really proud of myself. But yeah, So this was also something that I was working my way through in March. That concludes my March wrap-up. I have a ring light now, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, and I'm working on, you know, settings, what I like better. So you might notice the lighting is different in this video, the video before it, the video after it, until I settle on something. But so far, I'm really liking this aesthetic. I think I might go with this. We'll see. So today is March 28th, and there's still a couple days left in the month. So as of right now, those are the books that I've read, but I may be able to slip another one in there in the last couple days. If I do, I'll add that to my April wrap-up. So I'll just make a note that I had read it at the end of March. But as of now, that's what I've read. So a pretty good reading month, I'd say. 2 4 stars, 3 5 stars. You know, can't complain about that. So leave a comment down below if you've read these stories, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, if you have recommendations based on what I read. Leave that down in the comments below. Let me know what you read in March. Let's chat. But for now, I'm gonna head out. So I'll see you later. Jenny!